Okay, we're going from working on the big stuff to working on the small stuff today. This is really, for the most part, the last thing I've got to do-ish. I took, what happened there? Broke a fin off. Don't even know how anything could get to that spot. You'd have thought it would have hit the muffler. That makes me a little mad. But anyhow, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I took the alternator and regulator off of the 1950T down to the starter automotive electric shop that I've been thinking or been wanting to try. The place that we've been using for years, I'm not even 100% sure he's still in business anymore, because it's been a couple years since I've had to take anything there. But the last thing we had him do was the pretty sure it was the generator for the Super 55. There might have been a starter generator for the Sears after that, but I can't remember. But that starter generator he did was atrocious, and we ended up having to tear it back apart and machine the armature shaft and everything and put bearings in it, because he must not have machined the armature shaft or anything and put it back together dry, and it ate the shaft up and ate the bushing out of it within like an hour of running, if that. But anyhow, so that's out. What did I do yesterday? Yesterday I pretty much worked around the house. Got the belly blade put on the Cubs, which ready to go when I get to start working on the driveway. Got the mower service, so when the weather straightens out I can get the yard mowed, because Saturday it was 81 degrees, super nice outside. Woke up Sunday morning, it was sunny and like mid 70s, and by Sunday evening it was crappy, rainy, and low 40s. And then I woke up this morning to go to work today, and it was 34 degrees and snowing, and it's been snowing all day, whole day. So yeah, that'll take the wind out of your sails. But anyway, really all I got to do to this is get the carburetor rebuilt, because my homemade gasket that I put on there last year to get it running just wasn't cutting the mustard, and it wouldn't leak gas super fast, but if you let it sit for a week with fuel in the tank would bleed dry. So got to get a carb kit put in it and change the oil. That's really all it needs. And knowing I needed a carburetor kit, I wanted to find a good one, so I went on the old Fleabay. Well, first I went online and found a online parts manual for this motor, which it is a model 80301, which, near as I could tell by deciphering the model codes in the parts book, it's an 800 series engine. The 3 designates 3 horse, and the 01 designates rope start. Apparently, I think, if I remember right, if it was an 80302, it would have had a recoil start, near as I've been able to tell. But according to what I found, this should be the carb kit for it, and just judging by that, I'm guessing, I mean, small engine guys will know better, but I bet this carburetor kit is at least from the late 70s, early 80s. It's been around for a minute, since it's still made in Milwaukee. But I wanted a good one, so figured I'd go online and find the original one. And frankly, I'm probably going to keep the box, because the box is cool. But it's got this little paper bag full of something in there, and those parts. So hopefully it's the right carb kit, because it looks, there was the 2 and the 3 horse, it sounds like, use the same carb. So what do we got going on here? If your original float needle valve is like figure 1 or figure 2, use the new one like figure 2 and discard the old needle and spring. After assembling the needle, spring, and float to the body, check float for horizontal position as shown. The float should be in a horizontal position when it closes. The needle valve, bend tang on float if necessary. So basically they just want the float level with the car body. Easy enough. Oh, I wonder if this is from 79. I wonder if that's what that 6-79 means. Either way, it's kind of cool. I don't know. I like old boxes and stuff. So I'm probably going to hang on to it. It's been around this long. I'm sure as heck not throwing it away, but I am going to take all the stuff out of it and make this carburetor work. So, anyhow, that sounded like a dog. What you doing, Teeter? What you doing, Teeter? Okay, let's see what we can get into here. I realized when I got it off that I've been to 2 auto part stores in the last 2 days, and both times forgot to get more carb cleaner because we're out of carb cleaner. So hopefully I'll remember next time. And I got all my parts dumped out in that magnetic tray because I didn't want to get the box all greasy. And the bag just had a spring and a couple small gaskets and the new needle valve and spring. So nothing too exciting in there, but it's cool that the bag was still in there. I know what I'm doing wrong here. And now we take that guy out. I think. I'm assuming. That. And there's that. Looks like this one already had the new style needle or needle and spring in it. And there's my homemade gasket. Which really ain't that bad. I mean, it ain't perfect, but it did the job anyhow for the time being. And the the kit comes with a new seat, so we can get this out of here. And it comes with a new jet and springs, so this can go away. And I think that's all the parts we need to take off, because it does not have, well, what's that guy? There's this little, like, brass ring. And I don't know. Oh, it goes right there. Okay. So, inside of this jam nut, well, it's not really a jam nut. This is for adjusting the seal on your needle down here. And it's got inside of it this seal, and then that's backed up by that brass washer, so they'll stack up in there like that. So all our parts are accounted for, everything that's going to have to go in. So I will clean the carburetor body up real quick, and we can put it back together. Okay, everything cleaned up good. I wasn't really expecting to find anything out of the ordinary, because it did run, it just had a fuel leak. So we can go ahead and put her back together. Where to start? So we can put our Venturi back in, and this kit came with two different gaskets. This one here, I don't know how well it'll show up on camera. You got this one and this one. If you look, one is slightly smaller. It's probably not showing up. This one is slightly smaller in ID. There's only one gasket used in this carb, so one could surmise that since this carb does a 2 and a 3 horse both, one could assume that the 2 horse used a slightly smaller Venturi because it's a smaller motor. Would be my guess, so that's why you would have that carb or that gasket in there and not need it for this carb. So there's that, and we can check our float height real quick. Oh, actually, we need to put our new seat in. This reminds me, not that it's relevant to what we're doing right now, but I really need to get that Moline 112 back over to my house and out of here, so that I can actually get it out and dink around with it every once in a while and keep her limbered up. Okay, so how does this work? That goes in there like that. And then it goes in there like this. That spring is a lot more aggressive than the old one. And you always check your float height, although the way they have you check this isn't necessarily as important, but you always check your float height without the gasket on. Show if they want it parallel with the carburetor housing. As you can see, it is tipped down, so we have to rectify that. by bending. It says tab. To which tab is it referring? I would assume it's the tab. Okay, it wants you to bend the tang that the needle is hooked to. So we can give this a little tippy tip. That don't look too bad. I think we can roll with it. Okay, now our gasket can go on. And it actually came with a new pin for the float, so we'll use that. Then we can put these guys together. Having that float set too high could be part of the reason why it was leaking fuel, although it never flooded, which is odd. So now we need that and that little brass washer and our seal. And that goes over the needle. Everything's the same length. A little too tight. There we go. All you do is you tighten that nut down, it squeezes on that little rubber, whatever kind of material they make that seal out of, it just squeezes it down on the needle stem, and that's what creates your seal. You can put that in, and then generally you back it out. Usually 2 turns gets you in the ballpark, so half a turn, 1, half a turn, 2. That feels decent. And then the same deal up here. Then we'll back this one out a turn and a half. So 1, or no, half, 1 half. So there's 1.5 turns. And that should get us in the ballpark. So hopefully that did us good. So I'll put this back together and change the oil in it real quick, which ain't worth videoing. It's just a quick oil change, and we'll see how she runs. Okay, she's got fresh oil. Carb's back on. And up a little bit of gas in it because it was out. Fuel should be on. So I guess we'll see if she'll start. That motor's just a little sweetheart. I love that thing. I can't believe Grandpa was going to scrap it. Good thing I showed up when I did. This thing showed up years ago. I can't even remember how old I was. But the power trowel that I think I told this story once already when I was, but for those of you that are new, it was on a Mueller power trowel concrete like float finisher, and Granddad bought it new for back when he was still building houses and stuff, and sat in the barn forever. I never even knew about it. And then one day Granddad's really good at throwing good stuff out when he feels that it is, when he just gets tired of having it around. And he took that power trowel and he had it all cut up, and that motor was sitting on top of it. And I can't remember why Dad and I were back there one night or one evening, but Joe just happened to see that sitting there in his pile of stuff he was hauling in for scrap. And I was like, hey. So I brought it home, and basically the only thing I did to get it running was I put a electronic ignition unit on it, and I might have put a carb kit in it when I first got it. I guarantee I almost would have had to, as long as it had sat, but shit, that was still back when the small engine place was still down New Carlisle, and they've been closed for 12, 15 years. Now, it had to have been longer than that, because it's been at least I might have been like 10 or 11 when I brought that motor home and got it running the first time. But anyway, I don't know. I like it. I'm not much of a small engine guy, but for some reason I like these little Briggs. I need to get that 5-horse going that I bought at that auction last spring. But that's a project for another time. Our bowl is a little wet though. Not that scares me a whole lot. Might just be something as simple as tightening up the screws. Alright, I just gave the screws a little snug, and I guess we'll see if that takes care of it. But like I say, the age of that carburetor, a little bit of wet doesn't necessarily scare me, because it could also be weeping a little bit while it's running out of the throttle shaft, because there's no, as far as I know, there's no throttle shaft seals in it. You'd think if there was, the kit would have came with it, so. But time will tell. It runs a crap ton better, I can tell you that much. So I think we definitely did some good. Starts without choke, starts on the first pull. It's a good little motor. But anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and call her a day. That's one more project we got done. It can go on the nurse tank as soon as we're ready to start using it. I do have to get a couple fittings and make one change to the nurse tank. It's fine the way it is for tending the sprayer hauling water, but we run into a slight issue loading it down at Helena. So I gotta make a couple changes, which you'll see when the time comes. So basically I got like 10 minutes worth of work left on the nurse tank. When the alternator and the voltage come back for the T, I forgot I need to get another seed sensor coming for the planter. I do need to do that. And which I'll probably just go up to the Deere dealer Green Mark and get one. Because even if they're like $10 more expensive than going through Shoop, I'm gonna have to pay shipping because I'm not gonna have a $200 order. So I might as well just go up there and get one. The only thing I can't remember is if the ones that Deer Hats carries have the long pigtail or the short pigtail, because I need the long pigtail. So I guess I'll find out. But I got those two things. I do have a little bit of work that needs done to the sole finisher. I got to replace some broken chains on the 5-bar harrow. But that's not a need to be done right now. And tomorrow, if the weather's decent, which they're saying it's supposed to be, hopefully it is, because I'm tired of this crap, I got to get the duals put on a 1955 so we can get, so it's ready to start spreading fertilizer when the time finally comes. But as far as I know, other than like a couple like 30-minute odd jobs that still need done, there's really, this was the last thing that I needed to do, so I think we're sitting pretty good. So anyhow, I guess that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one.